All right, so if you're a local business owner who has a listing on Google, but you don't have many reviews because maybe you're never really worried about getting reviews or it's just never been your thing to ask customers, or maybe you do ask for reviews, but customers never end up following through and actually giving you those reviews. So you just end up cutting your losses because you're not going to go follow up with them and try to get those reviews. But you should know that automation and like AI is becoming a lot more available to people. So businesses can leverage this to make things like building up a couple hundred reviews over time a lot more doable. So in this video, we're going to show you how automation is making things a lot easier so you can get reviews by literally doing less work. And we're also going to walk through a step-by-step guide on how to actually set this up for your business. But first, we have to look at the old ways of getting reviews and kind of show why they've never really worked before.
All right, so if you're trying to get reviews right now, you're probably using one of these methods. You're either asking in person, where you just go up to the customer and simply ask. Maybe you're texting the review link. Maybe you're using QR codes, or even sending the review link with your invoice. If you tried any of these before, you know how easy it is to forget to send the link sometimes. You know that for some people, asking for reviews can be kind of uncomfortable. And you also know that customers always say, yeah, sure, I'll leave a review, but then they never actually do it. And you also realize that there's so many customers that don't get followed up with. And that's because these methods have fundamental problems. So the first one is these methods rely on the owners or the employees to manually ask the customer. So you're probably thinking, well, so what? How else is it supposed to be? The problem is that people end up becoming inconsistent. Some people, might simply forget, right? You get busy on the job, forget, whatever. Some people might find it awkward to go up to the customer and pretty much like beg for a review, right? Some people might find excuses because deep down, they don't want the customer to tell them no, right? They have like a fear of rejection. The reality is that we're all humans, nobody's really perfect, and these are all just like natural things that make it easy to be inconsistent and just say, whatever, forget it, it's Friday, I'm not going to ask for a review, whatever. And then over time, you pretty much just end up missing these reviews because you're not giving yourself the chance to even start with. All right, the next problem, no matter what method you use, once you ask for a review, it's completely up to the customer whether they do it or not, right? It depends on the customer. Well, so what, right? Some of these methods make it inconvenient to leave a review. Here's the reality is you're ultimately asking for a favor and there's nothing really in it for them. So if it's even slightly inconvenient to leave a review, they're just probably not going to bother. And all you can do is focus on what you can control and make it as easy as possible for the customer to leave a review and just improve your chances, okay? So if we kind of go back, we can see how some of these methods make it inconvenient. For example, if you ask in person, right, there's a lot of steps that customer needs to take on their own. They're going to have to take out their phone, open up Google, maybe sign in if they're not logged in. Once they get logged in, then they can, type your company name into the search bar and then find your listing and then figure out where the review section is, navigate to the review section, and then finally write the review. And ultimately, this is just like too much effort, especially when there's nothing in it for them. They don't really care. It's just too much effort. And if they hit a little bit of friction, they'll probably just, screw it, right? But not all the traditional methods make it inconvenient. So for example, if you send the link, that's not going to be very hard for the customer. It's pretty straightforward. They just click the link and they're on your profile. But even if it's easy for the customer to leave reviews, that doesn't mean that everyone's going to do it still. And that kind of leads us into the next problem is that there's no realistic way to follow up with these customers. Everything's manual, right? Actually think about what it would take to manually call or text or email all your customers that didn't leave a review, right? Well, first of all, you have to track who didn't leave a review. So you're probably going to go to Google and just keep an eye on your profile, but then, you're going to have to find their contact info and write the message and get the review link and all. It just adds up to be a lot just for one customer, right? You'd have to do that for everyone. But by the time you work with the next customer, depending on what you do, you probably don't think about the last customer and if they left a review or not, let alone the last 5 or 10 people that didn't leave a review. So what happens is you probably don't follow up, right? Well, so what, right? Here's the thing about follow-ups is that a lot of customers don't leave a review on the first ask. think about it like this. Like when customers ask for a review for the first time, they're probably thinking, okay, the business just going through these motions, right? They're just going through the motions. Their boss probably makes them do this, whatever. It doesn't really matter. My review won't matter. I don't need to do this. Think of it like voting. Like a lot of people think their vote doesn't matter, so they just don't vote. But if we think about reviews, if the customer gets followed up with, right? Say they get sent a text following up, like say, hey, make sure to leave us a review. Like they say that again, right? So the customer is gonna think like, oh, okay, so they're actually serious about this, right? Like they actually do care about my review. And it kind of just makes them think twice and like reconsider about actually leaving the review. So they're probably gonna think about what it takes to leave a review and all this stuff. Overall, it just makes it seem more important. So without following up, you end up missing out on a lot of reviews. And if you're asking or you're sending the link and you're making sure to do all this stuff, you're pretty much just doing all this work for nothing if they just disregard the review right away. So let's kind of just take a step back here. You're using these methods that kind of make you prone to being inconsistent, fighting this uphill battle. Then you add the inconvenience for your customers who don't really care because there's nothing really in it for them. And then on top of that, there's no realistic, repeatable way to follow up, making the customer think twice. So if we add all that up, we can kind of see how your chances of reviews just kind of gets whittled down. So you end up with sporadic, inconsistent reviews, keeping you on the third page of Google. So now you can see why these strategies aren't very practical if your goal is to scale reviews and actually compete with these other companies that have hundreds of reviews. So the question becomes, how do you fix these problems and increase your chances of getting reviews? Well, instead of relying on yourself or employees to remember to ask for the reviews, ideally, you could just automate the entire process and forget about it. Instead of making customers do everything step by step, going through this inconvenient process to leave a review, ideally, you remove all the friction, where all they have to do is click a button on their phone where they're sent straight to your Google profile and where they can leave a review. And instead of never following up with customers because it takes too much time and losing out on all these reviews, essentially, ideally, you could have AI keep track of who doesn't leave a review and then have AI follow up with them. All right, so here it is. Here's what it looks like. This is the solution. It's like a 4-step automated sequence. So how it works is once you finish a job, an automated text gets sent to your customer. In that text, there's a link they can click, which will bring them to a custom page with your logo on it. And then they can click that blue button, and that will bring them straight to your Google business profile where they can leave a review. Now, since not everyone's going to do it, if the customer doesn't click that link, then they'll be sent a follow-up text. So we're going to show you exactly how to set this up for your business, but before we get into that, we're going to show a quick demo so you can kind of see how this works in a real-life situation. All right, so let's imagine this is the customer's phone. All right, so I just got a text from your company. Hey, Brandon, thank you for choosing us. We'd love to hear about your experience. Would you mind giving us a review on Google? Only takes a couple seconds and it helps us out a ton. All right, so now all I have to do is click this link and it'll bring me to this page where it has your logo on it and everything. Thanks for being our customer. Please leave us a review. So now I just have to click this blue button that says continue to Google. And there I am, where all I have to do right now is click the review and type my experience. Now, if they don't click this link, the customer will be sent a follow-up text. And then right there you can see a follow-up text is sent. Hey Brandon, would you mind giving us a review on Google? Don't worry, it won't take long. Thanks, we appreciate it. And then it sends the link again. So this is kind of just going to get me to rethink, reconsider, and actually go through to click that link.
All right, so going back to the problems with those other methods, like you asking inconsistently or it being hard for the customer to actually leave a review or there's no good way to follow up. With this system, you can see how the text is sent automatically without anyone having to manually do anything, which is going to be more consistent in the long run. Then it also makes it easy for the customer to leave a review. And then it follows up when necessary, making sure there's no reviews left on the table. Okay, now obviously this is a simple solution. It's something earth-shattering, like we've all probably seen this before. But I've talked to a decent amount of business owners, and when I ask them about the reviews, a lot of them just say they're not too worried about it, and that's probably because reviews are just a small like piece of the puzzle when it comes to like the business overall. But doing these little things is what's going to separate you from all the other companies that are on Google. So, for example, these two companies here, the first company, maybe getting reviews has never been their focus and they're just kind of like overlooking it. And then the second company, they have like 175 reviews. And they obviously make it a priority to like, get reviews from their customers. So if you're a customer on Google looking for a landscaper in this case, they're probably going to go with company 2, right? Because it looks like a better company. And that may not be the case, but that's what it looks like on Google. So that's kind of how we're looking at this right now. All right, so now we're going to walk through how you can actually get this set up for your business. So the basic idea is to send a text to your customer after you finish a job. So we need to figure out how to determine when a job is finished. So this could be something like when an invoice is paid, or maybe there's a scheduled due date on the calendar, or maybe you keep your jobs organized in like a CRM pipeline so you can see when a job is complete. But after this certain event happens, that's when we need to send the automated text to your customer. So we use these online tools like this to determine when those events take place. So what you need for this to work is any online business tool, so like a CRM, payment processor, calendar, and a software that has text and email automations. So it's possible to use one software like a CRM that like handles everything. So like if your online tool already has like text and email capabilities, you don't need a second software to send the text. But if you're using something like PayPal or Google Calendar, the things that like don't have the ability to send automated texts, that's when you're going to need a software to do that. And if that's the case, then we'll just link those two softwares so they work together. Okay, so just to reiterate, when a job is considered complete in the online tool, that tool tells the text and email software to send the text. So setting this up, we'll lay it out in 5 steps. Identify the online business tool. Then we identify a software with text and email automations if that's necessary. And then we'll connect those two softwares, create a trigger in the first tool to send that text, and then build the automated text sequence so there's something to actually text. So step 1, identify an online business tool. So like I said before, this is like a CRM, payment processor, calendar, or anything else you can think of. So we just need something that like happens online and something that ideally is after the job is finished. So I'm going to do a demonstration and I'm going to use Stripe. That's a payment processor that we use, and it'll just make it easier to show the whole demo. So Stripe is a payment processor. Step 2, identify a software with text and email automation capabilities. So this is going to be like any type of CRM probably. So like HubSpot, MailChimp, Housecall Pro is popular in like the home service or construction industry. We use something called Go High Level. This is just like a CRM, basically does like all-in-one CRM, and that has the text and email automation. So we'll use that because Stripe, our payment processor, you can't send automated text with. So basically, here's what it'd look like. Once a customer pays through Stripe, Stripe would tell High Level to send that text to that same customer. So important detail here, Stripe will also send that customer's name and phone number to High Level so High Level can actually text them. But the key here is connecting the two software so they like communicate back and forth when a certain event happens, such as a payment is made. This way you don't have to remember to send the text like every time someone pays. All right, so now we'll show you how to actually connect the two softwares. So step 3, we need to figure out how to connect these two platforms so they communicate back and forth. And to do this, we use a tool called Zapier, which is just an integration tool. All right, so we'll look up Zapier. It's going to ask you to sign in. But then once you're signed in, just go to the top left corner, hit create, and then Zaps. Then there's going to be like 2 bubbles, 2 boxes to fill in. So the first one, is going to be Stripe, so your online tool that you use. This is our payment processor. And then the second one is going to be your text and email software, which is high level, but in here it's called Lead Connector. So that's basically how you establish the connection. So for step 3, that's all you have to worry about is getting your online tool connected with the software that does the text and emails. Now, step 4, we need to determine when Stripe is going to tell high level to send that text. So basically, create the trigger for this. So you go into Stripe and then you choose a trigger event, which is going to be when a new payment is made. And then you can select your account. It's going to have you sign in into Stripe, or like for my case, it would sign me into Stripe through Zapier. So then you can do a test here, test the trigger. So now my Stripe account is connected through Zapier, so it's pulling this information we can use to send to high level. So you'll see what that looks like here in a second. For now, just go to the second box and then choose an action event. So this is when a payment is made, what's going to happen. We're going to add a contact to the CRM, and then it'll have you log in to that account. But then you can just press configure, and then you can see how there's information from Stripe that we can use to send to high level. So for example, when a customer pays, I'm going to need their first name and then their phone number to text. I'll just pull those records. And then another thing I do is I tag this contact request review. So when this contact is added into high level, they're going to have a tag next to their name that just says request review. And this is just going to keep it nice and organized. And then this is just mark this as true or false. Just mark it as a lead. It doesn't matter. This is just required in order to continue. So then if I do continue, I can actually test this step. So let me just test it here. So then I can go into my account, the CRM. And then now you can see this customer was added with their name, phone number, and then the tag request review. So when someone pays, they're going to go through this connection here and get added right into my CRM. And then from here, I can text them, the automated text. All right, so this here in Zapier is done. This is basically how you automate the whole thing. All right, so step 5, the last step is to actually build out the automated text sequence in high level, so there's something to send. All right, so this is the automated text sequence in high level. And we start out with the trigger, which is actually when a contact is added and they have the tag request review. So that's why we do that in Zapier. So when a customer in my CRM gets added and they have the tag request review, they're going to get sent through this automation. And then they're going to get sent this first text. It just says, hey, contact first name, thanks for choosing our company. We'd love to hear about your experience. Would you mind giving us a review on Google? And then you can attach your review link. And then they go through this condition here where it's wait for this link to be clicked or 1 day. So if the customer clicks the link, they're going to get advanced through the automation, and it's going to say, did they click this link? Yes, and then remove them from the workflow. And the reason we do this is because if the customer clicks the link, then we're assuming they left a review and we don't need to continue texting them. But if they don't click the link, the longest it's going to wait is 1 day, and then advance them through the automation, and then they're going to say, did they click the link? No. And then we're going to send them a follow-up text. And then it says, hey, would you mind giving us a review on Google? Don't worry, it won't take long. And then it waits 6 seconds, and then it sends them the review link. So this is just going to make it more like personal, and it's going to make them feel like someone's actually on the other end of this and sending the text. And it's not just automation. And then it just goes through the same kind of conditions. It's going to wait for that link to be clicked. And if it is, they're gonna get removed from the workflow, and then if it's not clicked within a day, you can either do another follow-up or just remove them from the workflow and then cut your losses, whatever. But the important part is that they're actually getting followed up with. So that's kind of it. That's how you can use automation to handle the reviews for your business without having to do any of the work. So you don't have to ask for reviews after every job. You don't have to follow up with all your customers, chase them around trying to get a review. You don't have to try to stay consistent with all this over the long period of time. And then once you get this set up, there's nothing else required for you to do to get consistent reviews over time. So the idea is that you're just setting this up once and you don't have to do anything else. So it's set and forget.
All right, just a friendly warning. You might have to pay for another software to actually get this set up. Getting it set up might not be as straightforward as the demo. It kind of just depends on what software you use. So the odds of you actually getting it set up might go down. Now, if you know you're gonna have to pay for a software to make this work, or maybe you just don't wanna open a can of worms and try to get this set up yet, we're offering a free reactivation where you can try it out by running your past customers through the system and ask them for a review. This way you can try it out and see how it works. And then once you know it works and you're at the point where you want to start prioritizing your reviews, we can do a custom integration with whatever online tool you're using and set this exact system up to run for your future customers. So if you're interested, there's a website in the description of this video. You can see more about how the reactivation works, what it'd look like to get it set up afterward, and as well as the pricing.
All right, so go check out the website in the description if that's a better option for you. Otherwise, try to get this set up. And we hope you found this video valuable, and thanks for watching.